So this is the infamous Brick Lane, very, very famous on a Sunday. This is where people come to get a curry on a Friday. It's the home of textile industries for, wow, maybe like 100 odd years. You've had waves and waves and waves of immigrants, people coming from all over the world to make this place their home, coming up with different types of recipes, different types of creativity, different types of embroidery, just bringing together expression of thought. And that's why culture and essence of expression is rooted in this area.
Now I'm going to be talking to Wayland, who is an audio artist.
So I'm an audio artist. I do everything from making music, DJing, radio and podcast production. I've done music for ads. I used to make music commercially, and now I kind of mostly focus on radio and podcasting, but I still dabble in the ad thing. Like I was working on an ad before I came here.
So how did you kind of get into that, and how did you know that you kind of didn't want to just stick to one thing? You wanted to do it all, really? And why not?
I've always had the multiple interests. So I always used to listen to like cassette audio books when there was cassettes back in whenever that was. And I always loved music, which is just growing up in a Jamaican house. That's just a thing. And then I guess I don't remember a time where I wasn't writing like music or poems or whatever. And I don't really like being told what to do, so I always just kind of leant towards doing what I wanted to do, and what I wanted to do consisted of audio. The bit that I'm good at is turning my ideas from like synapses firing in my brain to bringing it into like a physical reality that you can listen to or whatever you want to do. So for me, it's all about, like, firstly, I write my ideas down. That's the most important thing, because otherwise you just lose them. And then doing everything I can to bring them to life. So if it's recording them, then who do I need to record this? What are we doing? I have all the equipment I need in my house, so I make everything from my house. Yeah, I make everything from my house, like music. I have DJ decks. I do radio and podcasts from my house. Yes, it's just making sure that you're not just an ideas person, because a lot of creatives are just ideas people.
And so what was the process like? Were you always like, yeah, I'm a musician, I'm a DJ, I do podcasts, I'm going to go for it? Or was there a bit of hesitation? Was there a bit of uncertainty going to uni? Like, how was the journey?
I've been very sure that I was something at different points, and then I very quickly realized, no, I'm not that. No, I'm not that. Or I'm this and that. Or I'm this and that. So I started writing when I could write. That's when I started like writing music and poems and stuff. So I've always been writing. But when I recorded my first song when I was 16 or 17. So just after I finished Surgeon Cast, that summer. And then, but I still wasn't I was still getting my feet into it. So I started performing the songs that I had written a cappella at Rich Mix at some of the poetry events. So particularly Jaw Dance. I was proper on this stage. It was like every third Monday of the month or something like that. And I was here all the time. Then they started booking me for stuff. I was like, oh, right, I must be good in it. Yeah, so that gave me more confidence to then go and start performing music. I performed like every venue in London pretty much. Just doing my thing, then I started DJing just randomly because my friends was doing it. I was like, that's really fun, and it's not that hard. You just if you can count to 4, you can DJ. And literally, if you can count to 4 and keep beat, then you can DJ. So I did that. And then I had music and I'm DJing, and then I had the opportunity to do radio. I started doing radio. I had the show for like a month at a different station. Then I moved to Transmission Roundhouse. The good people over there helped me build up my skills. I had my own show called The Green Room. Then I was producing another show for a band called Language, actually. Didn't even realize I was wearing a hoodie. Started doing their show. Then eventually I did an internship at Radio 1, BBC Radio 1. That finished, and then the next week I started working at BBC Sounds on the podcast commissioning team. I did that until from last October to this September. And then in the interim, like in the middle, I kind of cut down my days because I started working on the podcast for Steve McQueen's series of films, Small Axe.
Oh, nice. And so would you say Rich Mix was pivotal in your whole journey?
For sure, 100%. Having the space to just go and perform the things that I had been writing in my room for so long, it allowed me to test it out. It was the first time really I was able to go from just the ideas to the actuality. Yeah. So that it was like my laboratory. It was like my training ground. Yeah. And so then from there, I was able to go and do other things.
Yeah. So do you think East London has influenced your kind of creativity or your process in any kind of way?
Yeah, for sure. Because when I was becoming of age, so like 18, I'm in an area where there's a whole strip of clubs that I can like put on a show at, or I can DJ at, or I can then just jump on the 149 on the back of the bus, not paying, come to Shoreditch, come to Shoreditch. I think we've hosted shows at Box Park, we've DJ'd at Box Park, like again, Rich Mixer. I think East London has so many areas in which you can express your creativity, and my friends who are not from East London say there's definitely a specific type of East London creative, and I guess I'm one of them.
Yeah, but do you have any like advice for young people who are kind of trying to be like you, really? And
I know what worked for me, so that's all I can speak from. Just do the work. Don't be like don't be just an ideas person. It's as much as being a creative is fun. It's work at the same time, but have fun while doing it. But no, it's work. Like it's actually work. So write down all your ideas. Ask for help. There's loads of things out there. You can't do everything by yourself. No person is an island. What else? Find like-minded people who are on the same thing as you, and support them as they support you, because a lot of creatives come in with a take mentality, but it's actually you have to build a community.
100%.
So I think, yeah. And my main, I guess, creative partners is my friend Chibs. So he's a visual artist first. So having someone who does my field but also does something different brings in a completely different or alternative perspective. So if I'm doing something or if I have an idea for a video and he's like, yeah, that's cool, let's do it this way, and then that then brings out a different aspect to the music. Or if I'm doing, I did my last series for the Roundhouse was the Green Room Press. Chibs did all of the visuals for it, and it's like just having people to work off, and yeah.
It's vibe. And one final question. So in terms of like balancing all those different things, do you have any advice for that? Sure. And for people who say you should only do one thing and, do it?
You just have to make sacrifices. Some things aren't worth it, so I'm gonna spend 5 hours like trying to mix this radio show or podcast or whatever I'm doing, or song even, and because I'm doing that, I can't go link the Mandem right now. Like Mandem, I'm sorry, I can't. I actually have things to do. As much as I love the Mandem, like I've got things to do. So sacrifices, and it might not even just be friends, it might be family, it might be like your significant other, but at the end of the day, once you know what your mission is, you kind of know what you have to do to succeed in it, and that's kind of the creed, I guess, that I live by.
Yeah, so know your purpose and then just go for it.
Yeah. Complete your mission and then go home.
Awesome, thank you, Roland, it's been lovely speaking to you, and yeah, it's been a vibe, man. And now we're going to be talking to Sasha, who runs his own audio branding company. Hello, Sasha. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you, Norris? Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. I'm very well, thank you. So I just wanted to talk to you a bit more about what you do.
Yeah, well, my company, DLMDD, is a specialist audio branding agency. So that means we work with brands and companies to help them find ways to use sound to communicate with their customers and their audience, as we call them. So that could be as simple as just what they use for their commercials, but it could also mean what other opportunities are there for that company to use sound to communicate. And depending on the type of company, that can range from a whole variety of things, from, as I said, TV and radio and online advertising. It could be somewhere environmental, it could be an airport lounge, it could be a community space, it could be phones, it could be apps, it could be certain parts of their websites. Basically, wherever there's an opportunity for sound, we ask the question, is there opportunity for you to use sound to help people better remember you and engage with you as a company? Imagine you're on telephone hold to a company and you've been sat there for 15 minutes and you get the same noise or the same song over and over and over again. That's going to really wind you up, right?
Yeah, it happens sometimes.
It does happen. We've all experienced that, and that's when
Let's leave it on the sofa.
that's when you can use your audio branding assets to better effect. So you're not giving them the same thing over and over again. That experience as comfortable as possible, and using sound to do that can be quite powerful. But that's one part of our business. The other part of our business is more what we call traditional music supervision. So that's finding or creating the right soundtrack for a piece of content. And that could be film, that could be a piece of just radio advertising, it could be part of a podcast. And that's quite exciting because you get straight into the music naked. We'll have a brief, so we'll be asked to find something that is contemporary, modern pop music, for instance. So we start thinking about artists that fall into that category, and then we start listening through, and then the lyrics might be relevant, the speed of the song, the tempo might be relevant, the emotional qualities of the song. Is it going to make is it a tearjerker, or is it like a really energetic song? Is it a get up and dance type thing? All of those things will be part of our brief, and then we go through a process of selecting what we think is most suitable. So that's finding music, and then we actually do a lot more of the creation side. So we work with a composer or a producer or a songwriter or an artist or a creator of some sort in that space to create the soundtrack for, let's say, a commercial or a piece of branded content. And that's great fun because we get to make music with these people. We commission a person to create a piece of music and perhaps go into a studio to record it. We bring in musicians. Sometimes it's a huge orchestra. Sometimes it's just one person who sits in a studio and can create the whole thing themselves, more of a producer in how you and I might think of a producer. But the really exciting ones are when there's lots of people involved, which of course is quite difficult to do right now in COVID times. But when you've got 70 people in an orchestra playing a piece that you've helped create, that's a very enriching and powerful experience.
Do you have any advice in terms of networking and getting that balance right, and actually going up to people and having that book of contacts, as you say? Like, how do you build those essential connections?
I think if you can become valuable, or what you do or what your skill set is deemed as valuable, then the money will come. Yeah. And that's a bit of a crude way of saying, you create value and the opportunities will arise from that, I think. I think it's very easy to become a pain in the ass if you overdo it.
So do you have any just advice in general for young people who want to get into audio branding or just the creative industry in general?
I think you have to have a real interest in music and audio. I would say start using the tools that are available, like GarageBand, and myself or one of my team members might be thinking, okay, well we need someone to edit some music for us. Where can we go? And somebody who's just spent a bit of spare time doing that recently will be able to help us with that, and that's a job right there. So I would say stay focused. If it were me telling myself as a 16, 17-year-old, I'd say don't smoke weed. I'd say I think you've just got to be really focused and engaged and have skills that lots of other people might have the same skills, but you need to have something to offer in terms of a practical ability, and not be reluctant to, if someone says, okay, I'm going to need you to come in for a week and you're going to make tea and answer the phone, okay, that's okay. because you're in a record label and you want to get into music, there's no better place for you to be for a week than there making tea and being nice to people and getting everybody's name. And you overhear a conversation saying, oh, I've got too much to do, I've got to get all of this done, and you just go, I can help.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Sasha. That was great. I learned so much about audio branding and music in general.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
This is Arnold Circus. It was built as the first council estate in the UK, and it was built to address the housing concerns of Victorian England. Here at New Creatives, we are going to be encouraging you to look at your environment, look at the places that you go to, the people that you meet, the characters that you know. And all of these inputs will be encouraged within you so that we can create art that will uplift the world.
Hello, Paul. How are you today?
I'm good, how are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. So I just wanted to ask you a few questions about Triple Double. So how did you start the company and what is it all about?
I've known long term that I wanted to start a studio, a design studio, kind of from quite an early age, just because from quite an early age I was sort of told that, yeah, basically you're going to fail if you do design. And at one point I thought, yeah, actually I'm going to it was specifically when I was 16, I thought this is now the time where it's going to take me a while to get there, but that's where it's going to be. Triple Double itself is a basketball term, so I'm a basketball fanatic player, have been since the age of 7, so we kind of sort of fuse sport and design together and then focus on youth and young people as a main audience, and we do work within education as well, so that's our sort of our three worlds as such. So yeah.
Why is design important to you and just in general? And why design?
I mean, for me, like design is how things work and how things look in that order. It always has been, always will be. That might be controversial to maybe some designers who end up watching this, but the visual design of something is only going to be superficial. If my cup has a nice design on it, I don't really care about that if I'm having a burning hand whilst I'm picking it up with a cup of tea. So it's those two things that for me is how it sort of fits together.
Yeah, I never thought about it like that. When I think of design, I just think, oh, let's make it look really cool. But you've got to think about like the functionality as well.
And we go through a lot of stuff. We're obviously really passionate about, colour, typography, photography, brand, all of this stuff. But I think you always have to remember the other person on the end of using it.
And like, how does a young person get into design? And
if you break down any project, there's multiple kind of roles and disciplines. So the kind of idea of like design is pretty multifaceted for anybody getting into it. So to be a sort of designer as such, I think of like curiosity. So kind of looking at things and go, why are they working that way, and could they be improved? Or for me, why is the video game working in this way and not this way? And I guess that curiosity, you then start to kind of identify like problems that you see and go, actually, I could do a better job of that. All the kind of or the well-known companies, should we say, all the well-known products basically came because someone spotted a gap and go, actually, there's a problem here to be solved. So yes, there's obviously your traditional routes of going down, learning a trade, and like I'm a big believer in like learning that craft and that skill continuously. But I think like any young person can essentially go, hang on, there's a problem over here. How can I sort of improve it? I'm just thinking, we do a lot of, obviously we do stuff with grassroots sports, and like we're doing like kit design. I'm constantly looking at sort of like sports teams of all sports going like, hang on a second, like maybe that kit could be a lot cooler, get more people engaged, and then just sort of, spot that idea and then start that conversation. So I think like this is why we love working with young people, and this is what young people do. They just sort of roll with it. So I'd say like curiosity, sort of don't ask, don't get, and just sort of like the worst people can say is sort of no. I guess it takes a little bit of like thick skin, but I've always been a bit like it's okay when people say no, because then you get to, you get your time back, you get your sort of opportunities to try things that maybe you wouldn't have even sort of considered. So how you deal with it, I guess, is just sort of know that it's not a means to an end. Like it's just basically, it's essentially taking something off the table, there's a space and going, okay, what can I now proceed with? I think it's also like keeping, well in my case, keeping lots of basketball spinning, lots of plates spinning, because, you know, hanging everything off like one thing. I've always been a big believer in sort of by, you know, diversifying a bit and, you know, speaking with people over here, trying this out, trying that out. When you've kind of got enough of them going, they'll usually all kind of sync up, but basically when one topples or whatever, then there's still other stuff going on. So we've always had, you know, there's always things that have happened. We go, oh, like, you know, wish we got that project or wish it turned out this way, and actually go, do you know what, it is what it is. So let's kind of learn from that and then improve the next time. And that then goes off to do other stuff. And we look back and go, if we had, it's retrospect, we can't actually tell what would have happened, but if the no didn't happen, we wouldn't have done this.
So what makes East London special to you?
There's some amazing things and amazing communities and community projects that are happening. So, you know, we have like obviously the amazing like park, and there's galleries, Roman Road, and all of it's where we used to be based on Roman Road. So I just quite, yeah, exactly. And I just think like it's this big sort of pot of sort of, you know, people who are born and bred, people like me who are coming and, you know, seeing the kind of diversity and also just lots of just interesting things happening. And I just think it's quite a homely borough of London. It just feels like I can kind of walk around and I can kind of be myself as well. You know, London has crazies everywhere. That's just kind of standard. But I just think, yeah, for me, like East London's just got this kind of sort of, it's kind of happy being like the underdog. It's like happy just being itself. It's not trying to be too hard. And we're in Tower Hamlets. You know, it's a very deprived borough as well of London. So it's kind of sort of, you know, there's the opportunity to be like, hey, rest of London and rest of country, rest of the world, like this is what we can do. And I just think, yeah, there's just really interesting different types of people there. They're literally just on your doorstep, and most people just walk past people and just don't even consider it. But you know, that's kind of what I like about East London.
Yeah, and there's so much art and culture here and history.
Yes.
Yeah, East London is a really cool place. Yes. Yeah, but thank you, Paul. It was a lovely conversation. Hello Mira, how are you today?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So do you want to talk a bit about what you do at Rich Mix?
Yeah, sure. So I've been working here for just under a year, and I'm the marketing and communications assistant. And we just shout about and celebrate everything that the whole other works the organisation are doing. So they put in a lot of work getting programmes going and getting events set up, and we promote it and get in the audiences and get people interested.
Oh, lovely. So what was your journey like into going into marketing and communications? Did you always know you wanted to do that?
So after graduating from university, I did quite a lot of freelance writing and spent some time, saved up some of my grant money from my final year and went to Greece and worked with this mobile library that goes around different refugee camps in Greece. And from there, I did this piece, which I was really happy about, which got published in a local magazine called Azima magazine. Thank you. And then, after that, I realised that I wanted to work for a non-for-profit or a charity.
Okay, lovely. So do you have any advice for young people that want to get into marketing or want to do creative writing and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think just go for it. I think there's so much pressure you have on yourself with writing, where it's just you sitting in your room looking at a piece of paper and you can't get anything down. It doesn't matter, no one's watching you, no one's looking at what you're doing. You can write whatever and do whatever, and you're completely free to be yourself. And also now with the internet, it's not like you have to go to someone face to face to show what you've written. Like, post it to everyone you want. If you get one response, that's great. If you don't, it doesn't matter. A lot of the time people don't even read them. It's not anything that you should feel bad about or feel like you lack confidence about. Just do it, just go for it.
Just go for it. No, that's really good advice. That's really good advice. I think sometimes young people are afraid to kind of make that first initial step, and it can be quite scary. But as you said, just go for it, throw it out there, and then, see what happens. So do you think places like Rich Mix is important, and how do you think it plays a role in like East London and culture and stuff?
Yeah, I think it's really important here. I've been looking into the history of Rich Mix quite a lot, and I've been interested in how the idea for Rich Mix came about. And obviously there was quite a lot of quite dark history within the area with racism, with Ali Al-Tab, yeah? Yeah. Yeah. And some other really quite bad things that have gone on. So I think it's quite important for Rich Mix to create that place where social cohesion can happen.
Yeah, no, it's very, very important. And so how do you kind of use marketing, because I'm sure it's not just you, it's like maybe a team of you, how do you kind of use marketing to engage the local community, or what are the kind of some of the tools you use to?
Yeah, so on Mondays there's another person in the marketing team who runs this campaign called Love Your Local. So with that one, we platform all the other different local places that have free things going on and everything that's going on in the neighbourhood. And I think with Rich Mix, although it's trying to get lots of emerging talent from the whole of London and trying to get lots of emerging talent from in a global perspective as well, it's also trying to be, now the Take Part programme that we've kind of launched more, is trying to get more and more involved in the local community and create more, well, celebrate more local talent, basically.
Yeah, okay. And how would you say that? How would you say you use creativity in your job?
I suppose with the writing part of it, I've been writing some blogs recently and preparing to get them published, which has been really fun. One which was on Christianity and queerness in Africa, when we had Film Africa come, and they had like this Q&A, which was incredible. And just writing up that was a really, really nice process and a really insightful process. And yeah, and then in other ones, I'm starting to do a Rich Mix history blog, which is just looking back onto why Rich Mix is so important and why it's based in this part of London.
Okay. Oh, no, that sounds really cool. Oh, lovely. And so, what advice would you give to your younger self? It's like 16-year-old you.
Not to worry so much. 100% not to worry so much. I think when I was younger, I had this big idea of a career being something that you had to like be a certain way to get. And but I think like even after university, that question you're asked as a kid of like, what do you want to be when you grow up, still rings in your head so much. And you're like, have to be a certain person, have to be a certain way. You can just be you and just take your interests seriously, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like what you're passionate about, that's what you can create into a career. Honestly, just contact people. Anyone that you admire or you're interested by. If you go on LinkedIn and look at how people that you are interested in have, what their work history looks like, you can look at that and be like, oh, they started that way. That's interesting. Maybe I can start that way. And contact those people, contact those organizations. You can be as honest as you want. Just people love to hear that you're interested in their work and that you have inspired them. So just reach out to people. Obviously, as I said, like there's lots of people who might not look at those messages, and you're not getting responses isn't anything bad. It's probably because they're too busy. Maybe they're still complimented by it, which is great, even if they have read it. If they haven't read it, that's fine too. But I'm sure you will get some responses, so just keep trying.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, thank you, Mia. That was some really great advice, and I love speaking with you.
Thanks so much.
I hope you've had a taste of what New Creatives is all about.
We are based here in Bethnal Green Road, so come in, the door is open, and we're looking forward to have you on New Creatives programme.
Yeah, always remember, be yourself, have fun, trust in the process, trust in your creativity, and our doors are always open. Come and have a chat with us. See you soon. Bye.
And now, me being a poet, it would only be fitting as if I give you an example of my poetry. This poem is called Purpose. I am the greatest. I'm the feeling like I'm wearing the latest. Shoes that are so cool that you can tell by the laces that they're fresh out the box. And they're making my socks. Envious at such perfection so close to touch. I'm the anticipation, the brief seconds of waiting. As my tongue salivating at the expectation of delving into my favorite ice cream. And I don't stop because every drop I'm compelled to lick clean. But it's the brief seconds in between that I explore in this theme. Those pregnant moments that we endure that form the core of wish dreams. I'm the new day woken from a good night's sleep. When your eyes lay unopened and you're feeling completely rested and untested. But before you get up, that's the best bit. You're totally relaxed and untaxed. You see your snores were well invested. And early in the morning, that silence, That silence is golden. It uplifts your whole being. It's all consuming and soul freeing, where your heart starts believing, your eyes start seeing. The rest of your day may be hell, but if you can just cherish that single moment, you'll get a glimpse of who I am, though my name's really spoken. It's only known by the chosen or those whose minds have been opened. You see, I'm all the good things that life has to bring. I'm the fastest kid in the playground. I'm the first bird that sings. I'm the woman who ran with her shopping and just caught the train. I took down the washing and I got in before it rains. I'm the feeling of joy as a slave breaks each of his chains. I'm the healing of the destroyed from an unspeakable pain. Now, what else can be said about me that hasn't already been said? Throughout the years, I've appeared to see you all in good stead. You'll see my signs throughout the times when fights for justice have led, for the rights of mankind so the starving are fed. Yet I only comprise of 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head. I predate recorded time before the first word was said. I infiltrate this ordered rhyme like a seed joining egg. I give it life, like yeast unto bread. For I am your purpose, your dreams, your ambition, your new creativity. And if we don't have any, we may as well be dead.